So the next one is on a new squad, some exciting stuff here. So I will welcome Lukman to take us through this.
Thank you, Phil. I'm just happy and excited to announce the launch of the new community lead squad, NetLad. And this initiative comes from the challenge or the feedback raised by the community health workers after using some time the CHD, CHW, the CHT. Some of the CHW report that they cannot have access to the data from the previous month once a new month starts, and that limitation right now affects their abilities to evaluate the performance, share accurate update with supervisor, community leaders, community manager, and also in some case that also affects that also impacts the monthly compensations, knowing that in some of the projects, based on in some of the projects, based on performance, once they could not share the previous month performance, it's quite difficult to them to be paid or receive the compensation. So we identify that challenge and we come to the context. To remind you quickly, the context is that NetLad, as you understand that the main issues now is the limit access to the monthly indicators within this analysis tab on the CHT. And this problem was mainly and consistently reported by the CHW during our different user feedback, heard in Kenya, in Mali, Togo, Uganda, Cote d'Ivoire. Those are the countries, for example, we have a project with different MOH where both CHW and supervisor express the need to access to the indicators from the previous months. And as you know, currently in the CHT and the analysis tab, the CHW can have access to the indicators for the current month. And at the end of each month, all of the indicators are reset to 0, preventing the retrospective tracking. So it's becoming a big challenge to the CHW and then also the supervisor to have access to the indicators and to continue to proactively monitor the CHW during the monthly activities. And to raise this problem, one of the solutions we have right now, Phil, NetLad, one of the solutions we have now is to establish a community lead squad. And the objective of this collaborative approach is to bring together all of different perspectives, contexts, knowledge to ensure that the solution we will propose will be meaningful, impacting the CHW and whatever the user is it. And the announcement of this squad is mainly to tell you that the squad is open for anyone interested in contributing in proposing solution in terms of design, iteration, development, and also testing. The squad is open for everybody. And in the coming day, we will be posting more detail in the community channel, including to share with you how you can sign up, how you can join the squad, and different date of the different meeting. We are free, we are open, and we are looking forward to build this with you because we think that the community have the power to propose the best solution, the best approach to raise and to achieve the problem raised by people working in the community. So we are free, we are open for everybody who want to join the community squad, everybody wanting that they have a solution, they have a perspective to close the gap we have now. We are open. Please join us. Be aware on the community channel. We will share the announcement and we'll be also happy to have you with us. Over to you, Phil.
All right. Thank you, Lukman. So I'm just going to share a link on chat in terms of squads and what are the requirements if you want to join a squad, if you want to just be part of a squad. So basically, it's more of just capacity, having the capacity to build a solution and contribute towards these solutions. Contributions could vary from just being technical to not being technical. For example, code contributions that could be defined as technical and just coming up with design documentation or the designs, the mockups, the wireframes could be, we could describe them as not too technical, but just also contributions. So yeah, you can find all that information in the doc site. Yeah, as Lukman has mentioned, probably have a forum post inviting the community to be part of this code, and then we can take it up from there. So thank you, Lukman. Do you have any questions or comments for Lukman?
Just to compliment Phil, and there's a good job that Lukman has done to encourage all of us to keep up the momentum of not only making community health workers deliver quality service, but also empowering them more and more to be able to consume the data to inform key interventions and decisions they make in the community. Over.
Thank you, Simon. So we can move on to the next presenter. So we can move to the next slide. Thanks, Lorena. So our next one is on digital payments and updates here. We'll probably have a demo as well. So I'll welcome Elijah to take us through digital payments.
Thanks, Phil. Confirming that people can hear me.
Yes, you're audible.
Awesome. My name is Elijah, a developer at Medic, and I'll be taking us through digital payment integration with the CHT and updates on the current state. Next slide, please. So the World Health Organization recommends that practicing CHWs should be remunerated with a financial package that corresponds with the job demands, complexity, and the training that they need to take on for this particular role. This information is published in the guidelines on health policy and system support to optimize CHW programs. Similarly, the International Labour Organization recommends that pay for health workers should reflect their qualifications, responsibilities, duties, and experience. This is published in the Care Work and Care Jobs for the Future of Decent Work. Despite this strong push for payment of CHWs, only 14% of CHWs are salaried. So reasons for not paying CHWs range from CHW salaries are not sustainable to paying the CHWs will change the motivational aspect of offering primary health services. We are very much used to this aspect of CHWs being volunteers, and it has gotten to a point where we just expect them to offer services just like that without considering why they're offering those services and how they are faring in their own personal lives. So let's take a look at the current state of affairs within Africa on the next slide. 50 out of 99 countries in Africa have one or more CHW groups who are accredited and salaried. This is a very low percentage, close to half of the countries in Africa, and only 24 countries have both. So that is the gold standard. And this is signified in the infographic that we are seeing by the color purple. Only those countries both accredit CHWs and they offer them a monthly salary for their own upkeep. Kenya is one of the front runners in this initiative of paying CHWs, and I'll be walking us through a demo of our workflow implementation within the CHT that supports payment to CHWs to show us how it is done practically, so that we can appreciate and carry back the learnings to the programs that we support. So I'll be sharing my screen now. Here we are logged in as a CHP. We call them community health promoters in the Kenyan context. This is equivalent to community health worker. And we are directly landing on the tasks tab. Let's assume that this is at the very beginning of the month, the first day of the month. This is how the workflow has been set up. And that's why you'll see the task has a due date of 13 days ago, given that today is 14th of August. At the very start of the month, all the CHPs will get a self-assessment task, and the task has a priority level because it's very important for payment of stipend to the CHPs. So let's go ahead and open up the task. On the first page of the task form, we'll get the community events that the CHP is expected to perform, to attend on a monthly basis. So the CHP selects the various community events that they have participated in. And on the next page, they are shown a summary of their performance for the previous month, July 1st to 31st. And you can see on the first, fourth and fifth row, we have the community events. And in between, we have household visitation and referrals. So these data points are captured from the performance tab. And the CHP, as they continue to undertake their duties, they can monitor the level of these targets that they're able to achieve. So the performance we're looking at is for the previous month, but for this month, everything is 0. But the CHP can continue to monitor the referrals and the household visit, the number of households that they're visiting, so that they can make sure they achieve the target that is set out in their performance criteria. So for this particular case, we have a county called Nairobi in Kenya, and they allocate, there is a performance management system where the CHP can score marks depending on the number of households that they visit each month, and also the number of referrals that they initiate for each month. Based on that, they are allocated marks, and also for the community events, marks are also allocated, and then there is a total that is computed for all the activities for the previous month. And then the system can recommend payment of stipend depending on the threshold that has been set. So for Nairobi County, the threshold is 80 marks. And for this particular example, we can see the CHP attained 85 marks. So the system recommends that they should be paid their stipend. So for an example of a case where the number of marks hasn't been attained, let's say the CHP, for example, hasn't attended any community events, then they score 65 only for the household visitation and the referrals. And the system recommendation changes to, you do not qualify for stipend since you haven't attained 80 marks. So this is a bit of automation for making it easier for the CHP to understand why their scores translate to, a particular amount of payment. The performance criteria can be different for different contexts, but for this one, it is binary. If you attain 80 marks, you get paid. If you attain less than 80 marks, you do not get paid. So the CHP is requested to either agree or disagree with the summary of their performance. If they agree, they certify the performance by signing the results. We implemented a signature drawing widget, which works in most cases, but when we rolled this out for users on the ground, we discovered that some users have challenges with their touch screens. Some phones have cracked screens. Other phones are not as sensitive, etc., etc. So for those kinds of scenarios, we make sure that everyone is able to sign by simply typing in their name. That constitutes a valid signature. And after signing their name, the CHP will see a summary of that performance for the month, and they can submit the form. So we'll switch views to the supervisor view so that we can appreciate the whole pipeline. So I've switched to the supervisor view. We call them community health assistants in Kenya. They supervise the community health promoters. We'll start off by syncing to make sure that all the reports are available, and we'll select the performance verification task. And we see that the performance tallies with the information that we saw the CHP entered. The CHP scored 65 marks, and the supervisor has a chance to again give a recommendation based on human interpretation. So in as much as this CHP may not have attained the threshold of 80 marks, there could be valid reasons for them not attaining 80 marks. Maybe their device was broken, maybe it was stolen, maybe they got sick. So many reasons. And on the other side, there's also chances that in case the CHP has attained 80 marks and the supervisor has a reason to deny stipend, the information maybe could have been entered in a manner that suggests that it's manufactured information or something like that. The supervisor has a chance to give a recommendation that the CHP stipend doesn't look valid. So for this case, let's say the supervisor is recommending the CHP to get their stipend, and once they give that recommendation, they can see a summary of the information that they entered, and they submit the form. So I'll switch over to the sub-county level so that we can appreciate how this information is aggregated. The next step after submitting the self-assessment for the CHP and the performance verification for the CHA is a compilation of a payroll. So this payroll is generated at a sub-county level, and it shows details of all the CHPs for that particular sub-county, their current status, when they completed their self-assessment, how many marks they scored, whether they qualified for stipend, what are the reasons for denying or granting stipend, the date that the CHA submitted the verification, performance verification, and the amount that is due for the for that particular month that is due to go to the CHP. The sub-county focal person who receives this payroll is meant to approve. So this is just a test payroll. We didn't want to share personal information. You can see this banner at the top. We make use of Google Drive's approval workflow. So the sub-county focal person will approve the payroll, and then it will go to county level, which is essentially the same, only that for county level, the information is not drilled down to specific workflow details. At county level, the county is concerned with disbursement. So they expect the sub-county focal person to have filtered out all the details for CHPs who should not get paid. And for them, it's only a matter of feeding this payroll now into maybe a bank portal or M-Pesa portal so that the particular amounts can be sent out to the CHPs. Someone will come up with a question asking why we didn't implement the complete payment pipeline. And the reasons here are political. When it comes to payments, this is a sensitive subject matter. So we are working towards complete automation, but we need the support of the county administration because right now they want very tight control over how payments are disbursed to the CHPs. So I'll pause there for questions or comments.
I'm just curious, thanks Elijah, this is really fascinating. I'm just curious about the numbers of CHPs that are using this, just in terms of what kind of impact this is having on the larger deployment.
So right now for Nairobi County, we are piloting this digital payment feature in 2 counties, Nairobi and Migori counties. Nairobi County, we have close to 8,000 users, and in Migori County, we have about 2,500 users. So total, we are working with around 10K users. The performance requirements are very, very minimal. These are, for payroll generation, we only do it for the first week of the month, the first 8 days of the month. We continuously compute the performance aggregation for all the CHPs and compile it now into a payroll. So it's a continuous process, and then once that is done from sub-county level approval going upwards to county level disbursement, the instance is not, there is no interaction with the instance that is necessary. So that part of the process going on from the second week of the month, let's say presumably from the 8th day of the month to the 12th day of the month. That is when we expect both the sub-county and county levels to do their reviews and disbursement. For that part, no interaction, no load is placed on the instance.
Awesome, thanks. So great to hear that the pilot is so well attended, such good a population of users, get great data on how effective it is and how it can improve. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, also for the question. I should mention that we're also looking to scale up this effort for the entire country. And we are working on building a unified performance criteria that will be at the national level, because it can get very chaotic trying to balance between 47 different performance criteria for all the CHPs. So it just makes sense to have it uniform across the board. Derek has a comment in the chat. In scenarios where CHPs experience device issues during the reporting month, could there be an alternative method to verify performance-based stipends for users working with paper record? Another great question. So we expect that the CHPs and their supervisors, they're able to communicate offline. So in cases where the CHP's device is totally unusable, then they should be able to report this to their supervisor. And as their supervisor is entering information within the performance verification form, they can make note of this and they can still recommend payment of the stipend to the CHP. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Nitin. It's awesome to hear great feedback. So I'll hand it over back to Phil if there are no more questions.
Our next presentation is from Mr. Jones. It's on CHT core and patch releases. So welcome, Mr. Jones.
Great. Thanks, Phil. Hello, I'm Ashley Jones. I'm a developer relations engineer based in the US here. And today I'm going to cover 2 patch releases, 421.1 and 420.1. Next slide. So this bug was discovered for the single sign-on feature that was released in 420. Oh, I'm embarrassed to forget when it dropped. It was 420 or 421. 420. Thanks, Josh. And the single sign-on interface required that you both enable the single sign-on for that role, as well as obviously select a place for that user. And you can see on the left here, the place, which is normally like an autocomplete type ahead feature, where if you start typing, it will fill out the place for you, became this weird sort of inoperable UI element. So the fix in the patch release is just to make it work. And this was the result of a race condition in how that data was fetched and how the UI element was rendered. Most folks probably won't need the patch release unless you're running single sign-on. Otherwise, the next feature release 422 or 5.0, whichever comes first, will have the fix in there, and you don't need to do anything to upgrade. So if folks don't have this issue today, then they don't need to upgrade. If they do, then the patch release is there for you. Next slide, please. I want to briefly touch on what a patch release is and how the versioning works. So a lot of software companies, including Medic, use what's called semantic versioning. And this means that each section of the version has a specific meaning. So this last X you see there on the far right is a patch release. And that means that we're releasing a backward compatible bug fix. So whenever you see the last third element there, increment by 1 from 0 to 1 or 1 to 2, then you know it's a patch release and you know there's been a bug fix. And next slide, please. Some folks may be wondering, I sure haven't seen any patch releases recently. So here's a chart of after every minor release, so 4.0, 4.1, 4.2, how many subsequent patch releases were there? So, I've got a typo on my slide, sorry. It should be 420, but the Google Sheets knocked off the 0 because there's no actual decimal there. But in 420 and 421 on the right there, there's now each have 1 patch release. And there's a great reason why we've had no patch releases recently. And it's on the next slide, I'll show you. And this is because of quality assistance. So some time ago, Medic went from quality assurance, which is the more traditional approach, where a feature is released and you just kind of throw it over the wall to QA and you say, hey, make sure that's good to go. And maybe some tests are run, maybe some manual poking and prodding is done, and then it's shipped. With quality assistance, you walk that process all the way back to the very inception of the feature, where the QA engineer is virtually in the room when the decision is made to add a new feature. And they might say, oh, I see you're adding a new feature about single sign-on. Have you thought about, what happens if the integration doesn't work, or what happens if the time to live is too long and the connection just sits and spins? Basically, it embeds the QA engineer from the very beginning of the development. So anytime there's new code that's added, they're added into the code review. Anytime maybe there's a scope change on what the feature is going to be, the QA engineer is right there alongside. And the net result is we have phenomenal test coverage. every time code is committed, there's a continuous integration suite that's run. There's great end-to-end tests that are run. All the engineers are thinking more about the impacts of their software and ensuring that there is good test coverage and that there is good end-to-end test and that their feature is well thought out and that the different race conditions that might come up are accounted for. And what this means is this whole massive expanse from after 4.8 all the way up to 4.20, there were no patch releases because of this phenomenal QA process. So I just wanted to call it out that that's why it happened. Software still has bugs, so we for sure, will have more of these patch releases, but hopefully as few as you see here. And in actuality, this bug that we just found has been there for a while, but only until the SSO feature was released did it unveil the user interface bug on the administrative interface. Okay, that's all I have on the patch release, on what is patched and what a patch release is, and why CHT has had so few patch releases. Does anyone have any comments or questions about the specific fix that's out there or our QA process? I think I saw Lorraine on the call if it comes up.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Jones. Yes, I just posted in the chat a link to a documentation around how quality assurance assistants work in MEDIC. So yeah, it's really important to us. And for me, it's also important because it made all these automations made the developers work easier. I think they can be they can have confidence that they are not breaking anything with changes. That's important. So back to you, Mr. Jones. Thank you.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Lorena. Thanks. There's a lot of confidence when it comes time to release that there's nothing more to do. We don't have to double check that it's okay to click merge or that the release needs to have any more testing. By the time the code is merged to main, it's good to go, which is, and then the time when it comes to release that in a packaged version, it's also good to go. All right, anyone else have any comments or questions before we turn it back to Phil and the larger group? Wonderful. Thanks, Phil. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jones. So we can move on to the next slide. So yeah, in terms of the community events that are coming up, we have the community meetup on 26th. That's about 2 weeks from now. We have the Dev Hour coming up the same week, and Demo Dev Hour the week after. That's on September 4th. And our next roundup will be on the second Thursday of September. That's 11th of September. So we'll also share the recording and the notes from this call on the forum. So be on the lookout for that. And you can also subscribe to our calendar. Thanks, Sandra, for sharing that to just stay in the loop of just subscribe to this calendar just to see what's going on and just stay in the loop of all the upcoming events. So that is it for our roundup this month. Thank you to all presenters. Can go to the next slide. Yeah, that's the last slide. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, we are about 10 minutes. 10 minutes at the top of the hour. So thanks, everyone. You can just donate 10 minutes back to everyone. Have a good rest of your day, wherever you are.